Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, December 29th. A cold rain falling throughout most of the Philadelphia suburbs this morning. If you go far to the north and west, places like Limerick and Hatfield, they are experiencing some snow or a wintry mix early this morning. That will give way to plain rain over the next hour or two. Well to the north and west of Philadelphia, in places like Lehigh Valley and the Poconos, we'll get some accumulating snow, perhaps 2-3 inches or so in the Poconos throughout the next few hours. This, as a low pressure system, forms off the New Jersey coastline and then rapidly intensifies over the next 12 hours, reaching the coast of Maine as a powerful storm by late tonight, early tomorrow. Becomes a major snow producer for the interior sections of New England, specifically Vermont, New Hampshire, and interior sections of Maine. If you get closer to the coast or at the coast, far, far less in the way of snow will fall, as enough warmer air off the oceans will diminish any chances for significant snow in places like Boston, maybe an inch or two, and most of that to the west of the metro region. But again, if you go to northwestern Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and interior sections of Maine, could get more than a foot of snow by the time tomorrow morning rolls around. Here's a look at the current radar loop, and a lot of the heaviest stuff is already east of the I-95 corridor. Certainly will be some rainfall over the next few hours, but it'll tend to wind down in the early to mid-afternoon hours. Temperature should go up well into the 40s. So any place where there's a mixture falling right now should certainly change over to plain rain over the next hour or two in the far northern and western suburbs of Philadelphia, for example. And again, low pressure will intensify later today off of the New Jersey coastline, then right along the coast, reaching the Maine eastern seaboard by late tonight, early tomorrow, and it'll be a powerful storm by the time it reaches Maine in the overnight hours. Here's a look at the latest water vapor loop from GO satellite imagery, and it tells a couple of things that going on right here. First of all, pretty rapid movement of the drier air towards the mid-Atlantic region, and again, the radar is showing most of the heaviest echoes already lying along the I-95 corridor or just to the east of Route I-95. All of this should wind down in the early to mid-afternoon hours here in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. However, notice up here across the Great Lakes, there's a kind of a bulge in the water vapor pattern. Indeed, we'll see in a minute here, there's a very vigorous upper level feature dropping to the south and east and negatively tilted, which means basically it's oriented from northwest to southeast. That will help to spin off a intensifying coastal storm later today, and again, it'll rapidly intensify by the time it moves from New Jersey to Maine. It'll bomb out and become a major snow producer for the interior sections of central and northern New England. And here's a current look at the 500 millibar pattern showing that deep upper level feature that will set off the development of a coastal storm later today. All this region right here, vigorous upper level energy, and again, it tends to be negatively tilted from the northwest to the southeast, and when it's tilted in that fashion, it has a tendency to really help produce upward motion. In this case, it'll produce upward motion right along the coastline, and low pressure will start to form over the New Jersey coastline here over the next couple of hours, right about in this region just south of Long Island, and then intensify rapidly as it moves up, reaching the Maine east coast by late tonight as a powerful storm system. And again, places like Vermont, New Hampshire, and interior Maine can get a foot or more of snow over the next 12 to 18 hours or so. Well, let's look at the forecast maps from last night's 0Z GFS model run for the northeast U.S. from early this afternoon to early tomorrow morning. Basically, the lifespan of this developing low pressure system off the northeastern U.S. coastline. Again, a major snow producer for interior New England. Early this afternoon, all plain rain in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City metro region. You go far to the north and west across northern and central Pennsylvania, The precipitation will remain in the form of snow, a few inches possible in the Poconos, and certainly a couple of inches or a few inches up across northern and central Pennsylvania. But snow, predominantly the rule here in the New England and New York area later on this afternoon. Let's jump ahead 6 hours. And here's the forecast map for early tonight. At this time, low pressure intensifying rapidly, moving over Rhode Island or the eastern part of Massachusetts. Some heavy snow depicted here by the darker blues falling across Vermont, New Hampshire, and just about to move into the inland section of Maine. Meanwhile, some snow could back into northwestern New Jersey and even to the New York City region later on this evening as colder air starts to wrap around. Notice a tight pressure gradient pattern right here over the Great Lakes. These black lines represent lines of equal pressure, isobars. The tighter these lines, the stronger the winds, and they tend to flow parallel to these isobars. So the winds will pick up in intensity around here in the D.C., Philly, New York City metro region later today, especially tonight and on Friday. Out of the northwest, perhaps gusting to 30 to 35 miles per hour or so during the day on Friday. And here's the forecast map for shortly after midnight, about 2 o'clock in the morning. By this time, very strong low pressure near the coastal section of Maine. Some heavy snowfall just to its west across interior sections of Maine, and Vermont and New Hampshire get pounded. Anywhere from a foot or more possible in parts of this region right in here. Actually, I could extend all the way down into northwestern Massachusetts as well. Again, strong northwesterly winds form over the corridor from New York City down to D.C. by tonight, and those strong northwest winds will continue on Friday. Well, one last look at this upcoming coastal storm, at least for the northeastern U.S. This is the forecast map for tomorrow morning, Friday morning. By this time, low pressure all the way up into northern Maine. A rather quick mover here. Still some very decent snows falling in southeastern Canada, across northern sections of New England at this time, and here in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, just strong northwest winds expected on Friday. Flurries are likely at times, and there can even be a heavier snow shower or two that makes it all the way across the mountains into the immediate I-95 corridor. Certainly a cold day to end the work week. Temperatures generally confined to the 30s for highs during Friday afternoon. Finally, let's jump ahead to next week. One last thing I wanted to show were the 850 temperature anomaly pattern for next week. Quite an active week coming up here. All these maps, by the way, available on tropicaltidbits.com. What we're doing here is running through the period from Monday through Saturday, about January 7th or so. And we start off early in the week with much warmer than normal conditions right here, shown in the red and oranges here in the eastern U.S. But look at this wall of cold that spreads across the nation during the middle and latter part of next week, reaching the eastern U.S. at the end of next week. So quite a change from a big warm-up in the eastern states in the Tuesday time frame, maybe Tuesday into Wednesday, and then much colder air spreads all the way across the nation, reaches the eastern seaboard by Friday or Saturday of next week. So quite a topsy-turvy pattern in temperatures next week as we progress into January. Well, that's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.